All right, let's dive into something pretty interesting today.
Okay.
The RBG revolution, happening over in Ghana.
Yeah, sounds fascinating.
And we've got like a radio interview, right, with Richmond Bash himself,
Oh, wow.
the leader of this whole movement,
Okay.
and his campaign manager too.
Wow. Straight from the source then.
Yeah, so Kwame Opoku.
Great.
And what's I think so fascinating about all this is, you know, they're not just talking about change.
Right.
They've got this whole vision, like this whole thing laid out
Yeah.
of what they're calling a new Ghana.
A new Ghana. Okay.
Yeah, and it's the thing like, bold colors, even bolder ideas,
Interesting.
and a real focus on like the everyday lives of Ghanaians.
Well, that's what's really striking to me,
Yeah.
just how much attention they've managed to get with this whole RBG symbolism.
Yeah.
It's more than just a catchy name, right?
Yeah.
It's like tapping into this deep, I don't know, like this deep well of Pan-African ideals that resonate with a lot of people.
Okay, so break it down for me then.
Okay.
RBG red, black, green. What's the significance?
Yeah, each color carries, a really powerful message.
Okay.
Red, right, that stands for their fight against corruption.
Mm-mm.
And the deep inequalities, that exist over there in Ghana.
Yeah.
Black represents like the strength and unity of the Ghanaian people,
Okay.
like a call for them to come together.
Yeah.
And then green signifies the hope for sustainable growth, a future where,
Mm-hmm.
everyone has the opportunity to prosper.
I see what you mean about like tapping into something deeper.
Yeah,
This isn't just about, political slogans.
right.
It's about identity, history, and aspirations for the future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what makes this movement so interesting to me
Mm.
is that they're not just like waving flags and talking about these ideals.
Right.
They're trying to translate these colors, these values,
Yeah.
into actual policies that could like actually change people's lives.
Okay, so let's get into like, the nitty gritty.
Okay.
What are some of these policies
Mm-hmm.
that are getting people, all fired up?
Yeah, they're focusing on the things that matter, right?
Mhm.
To everyday Ghanaians, think access to clean water,
Okay.
reliable electricity, and affordable health care.
Basics.
Things that, have a direct impact on people's quality of life.
Makes sense. Those are the things people are struggling with every day.
Right.
So how do they connect these, like,
Mm-hmm.
these basic needs to the whole RBG concept?
Yeah.
I'm curious, how does that translate?
Well, in the interview, Kwame Opoku, right,
Yeah.
the campaign manager, he gives this great example. He
Okay.
talks about how the red, like, the resistance part,
Hmm.
links to their commitment to, like, holding the government accountable.
Yeah.
They're pushing for transparency
Okay.
in how funds are used, making sure those resources actually get to the people.
So it's not just about railing against corruption. It's about, actually putting systems in place to try to prevent it.
Yeah.
I like that. It's practical.
And then he connects the green to their focus on empowering, the farmers
Okay.
and investing in like renewable energy.
Mm-hmm.
They see that direct link, right,
Mhm.
between sustainable growth, economic opportunities, and protecting the environment.
Yeah, I see that connection too.
Yeah. This is where things get really interesting. Richmond Bash has this really ambitious vision
Oh, yeah?
for a borderless Africa.
Yeah, that caught my attention too.
Right.
It sounds pretty radical.
Yeah.
I mean, what does that even look like?
He's basically talking about a future where
Yeah.
there's this free flow of trade, education,
Wow.
innovation across the entire continent.
Across the entire continent.
Imagine like a Ghanaian entrepreneur just easily selling their products in Nigeria,
Yeah.
or a Kenyan student studying at a university in Ghana without all those, bureaucratic barriers.
It's a pretty bold vision. I can see the appeal.
Yeah.
But isn't it, I don't know, a little idealistic?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got 54 countries in Africa,
Right.
each with their own laws, their own systems.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
Yeah.
And the host in the interview,
Oh.
he actually pushes Richmond Bash on this.
Okay.
But then Kwame Opoku steps in,
Oh,
the campaign manager,
Yeah.
and he has a really smart counterpoint.
Okay. I'm intrigued.
He emphasizes that they're not just about these lofty ideals.
Right.
They're proposing, like, concrete steps to make this happen.
Okay, give me an example.
Okay, so for one,
Yeah.
Richmond Bash is pushing for these regional trade corridors
Okay.
to, like, help move those goods and services across borders.
Could get easier.
Exactly. This could involve,
Yeah.
streamlining customs, harmonizing regulations,
Okay.
investing in infrastructure, connecting different parts of the continent.
So instead of trying to change everything overnight, They're
Right.
focusing on practical ways to enhance that cooperation,
Mm-hmm.
make trade a little easier.
Exactly.
Uh,
And on top of that,
yeah.
they're advocating for these digital systems to connect African countries,
Oh, interesting.
making it easier for people to, I don't know,
Yeah.
communicate, share information, do business across borders.
Like a digital infrastructure.
Exactly, like a digital infrastructure to support this whole vision.
I mean, it makes you wonder how this aligns with,
Yeah.
like, the existing efforts towards African integration.
Right.
Like, you've got the African Continental Free Trade Area.
Yeah, the FCFTA.
Right, the FCFTA.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And while they don't explicitly mention it in the interview,
Okay.
there are definitely some overlaps there.
Okay.
The FCFTA aims to create that single market, right,
Yeah.
for goods and services across Africa.
Mm-hmm.
And the RBG movements focus on trade corridors, and this digital connectivity
Right.
seems to really complement that.
So they're not necessarily trying to reinvent the wheel. They're offering, like, their
Yeah.
own spin on how to achieve it.
It's more like they're building on those existing frameworks
Yeah.
and adding their own, I don't know, their own vision, their own ambition to the mix.
So we've talked about the symbolism, the practical policies,
Yeah.
this ambitious vision for a borderless Africa.
Mm-hmm.
But let's bring it back to Ghana for a second.
Yep.
What does this actually mean for the country?
Right.
What would a new Ghana under Richmond Bash,
Yeah.
what would that look like?
He paints this very vivid picture
Okay.
in the interview.
Okay.
He talks about a Ghana where, every child has access to quality education, no matter their background.
Right.
He talks about ensuring that no family struggles to get clean water or basic health care.
Yeah.
And he really emphasizes empowering farmers and entrepreneurs,
Okay.
giving them the support they need.
So it's a very
Thrive.
hopeful and optimistic vision.
Yeah.
It's not like he's really trying to address, like, those everyday issues that
That's-
affect people's lives.
But it goes beyond just improving, like
Yeah.
those material conditions.
Okay.
He also talks about reclaiming Ghana's resources for the benefit of its people.
Now, when he says reclaiming resources,
Mm-hmm.
what exactly is he referring to?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
And one that deserves, some unpacking.
Okay.
Ghana is rich in resources.
Okay.
Gold, cocoa, oil, timber, you name it.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of times, those benefits haven't really been felt
Right.
by the Ghanaian people.
Yeah.
So when he talks about reclaiming,
Yeah.
he's talking about making sure that those resources are managed
Yeah.
in a way that benefits Ghanaians first and foremost.
So it's about, like, who controls the resources,
Exactly.
who profits from them,
Hmm.
who ultimately benefits.
Yeah, and it ties into this broader theme
Yeah.
of self-determination,
Okay.
taking ownership of their own future.
It seems like he's trying to shift that narrative away from, dependence on foreign aid
Yeah,
or investment to a more self-reliant model.
you hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
He talks about investing in the youth,
Right.
nurturing their talent,
Yeah.
fostering a sense of, Pan-African identity.
It's about reclaiming,
It's about reclaiming,
not just resources.
but also their own narrative.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a powerful message. I can definitely see why it's resonating with people.
Yeah.
But this vision of a new Ghana, right, with this emphasis on self-reliance,
Right.
reclaiming resources, it makes you wonder how that might play out,
Yeah.
on the international stage.
It's a crucial question,
Yeah.
If Richmond Bash and this RBG movement gain more power,
Mm-hmm.
it'll be fascinating to see how they navigate Ghana's relationships with other countries.
Especially,
Yeah.
with the current global landscape,
Right.
you've got these big powers, right,
Mm.
vying for influence in Africa.
Okay. And then you have this movement pushing for a more independent path.
Yeah, and it raises some really interesting questions.
Yeah, like what?
Like, how will this emphasis on Pan-African unity
Okay.
impact Ghana's relationships with its neighbors?
Right.
Will they see it as a threat or an opportunity,
Yeah.
for collaboration?
And what about foreign investment?
Right.
Ghana's attracted a lot of investment
Yeah.
from countries like China, the U.S.
Mm.
If the RBG movement starts pushing for greater control over their resources,
Yeah.
will that make foreign investors hesitant?
It's certainly a possibility,
Yeah.
but it could also lead to, I don't know, a
Okay.
renegotiation of terms,
Okay.
a push for more equitable partnerships that benefit both Ghana and the investors.
Right. It all depends on
It all depends
how they approach it.
yeah, how the RBG movement approaches these complex issues.
And that's something we'll have to watch unfold.
Exactly.
And we're just scratching the surface here.
Right.
But this RBG revolution is clearly a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's got this potent mix of symbolism, concrete policies, this grand vision for a new Ghana.
Yeah.
It's captivating.
What's so compelling to me
Yeah.
is that they're not just offering critiques, they're proposing solutions.
Right.
Even if those solutions are, I don't know,
Yeah.
ambitious and potentially disruptive,
Yeah.
they're forcing people to rethink the status quo and imagine what a different future could look like.
And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating, right? We've gone from decoding colors
Yeah.
to dissecting policies to contemplating like a potential shift in the balance of power.
It's mind-blowing.
It is. It really is.
It really highlights the power of ideas.
Yeah.
And how they can translate into real-world change, sometimes in unexpected ways.
Who knows? Maybe this new Ghana could inspire similar movements, across the continent.
That's a thought-provoking idea.
It is. Imagine like a ripple effect of RBG revolutions sweeping across Africa.
Yeah.
Each country interpreting those ideals in their own way.
It's definitely something worth pondering.
This has been a truly enlightening deep dive.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
And it really underscores how crucial it is to stay informed about, these dynamic forces that are shaping our world.
Well, I know what I'll be keeping my eye on.
Yeah.
The RBG revolution, this is a story that's just beginning to unfold.
Absolutely.
And I, for one, can't wait to see where it leads.
Me too.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Until next time.